Reports that Haaland has agreed personal terms with Chelsea are in. Jadon Sancho to Manchester United update on the way. Plus, Hakimi prefers Chelsea over everybody else. Hit the like button. Hit the share button. Here we go. Good morning. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. I hope you are well. Big Hakimi update this morning. Huge news in the last 12 hours or so about Erling Haaland and personal terms having been agreed and or signed off. It depends on how you want to interpret this news that is coming through. I've seen it from a number of sources across social media in relation to that being done. What remains to be seen is whether or not Chelsea Football Club will submit that official bid. And there's many suggesting, just as Dean Jones did yesterday on the Done Deal show, that the reports coming out of Dortmund are that they will not sell Jadon Sancho and they will not sell Haaland in the same window. Although there's an update this morning, we'll get into that in a bit more detail later, from Christian Falk, that there's no movement between, or no official movement between Manchester United and Dortmund. That's pretty much expected at this moment in time. There is no rush to push this deal through during the Euros, and I think everybody needs to be slightly relaxed about that. But the big question here from Chelsea's point of view is, will they sell? Will they sell both players in one summer? Now, their stance is, we won't. We absolutely will not. But the resolve has got to be tested here. And I think what you will see is Chelsea will manage this very, very well. Impeccably run when it comes to transfers. Generally very well run. On transfers, they're immense. What Chelsea Football Club will do, is they will keep tabs on the Kane situation. They will keep tabs on the Lukaku situation, because they're both big targets for them as well. And at some point, and they'll push it, and they'll try, and it's almost like trying to attempt Haaland away, get Haaland excited about the move. They will throw a shot across the bow. They will put a bid in, and it won't be for the £150 million straight away. You'll probably find the first bid will be between 110, maybe as high as £125 million, below the asking price, but to test the water, to test the resolve. Let's see how serious Borussia Dortmund are when actual, tangible cash money sits in front of them for Haaland. Maybe they push back. Maybe they completely and utterly say, absolutely no chance, isn't going to happen. Get the hell out of here. That is very, very plausible indeed. Very, very plausible indeed. There's no doubt about it. They might, though, show Chelsea the signs that another 10 million, 15 million pound more, and the deal can be done and agreed. Chelsea are in this position at the minute. It's actually quite a difficult position, because there's three major strikers available. They want one of them, as in Haaland, Lukaku, Kane. I think Lukaku seems to have moved up the pecking order slightly, with there being a kind of mooted thought that he, even though he's publicly stating that he doesn't want to leave Inter Milan, that deal, most industry experts believe that Lukaku can still leave Inter this summer. What's really interesting as well is this news becoming public. Of course, it already sits with Haaland, but there's pressure on him now. Chelsea are willing to pay you that mammoth personal salary that everybody was talking about 2 or 3 months ago. It is reported at being somewhere in the region of £500,000 a week minimum to sign Haaland. And if Chelsea have agreed, if Chelsea have signed off and they've reported back into his camp, we're willing to pay it, that may change Haaland's mood at Dortmund as well. Again, there's one thing saying, I'm only going to leave for the right club, for the right money. I'm going to respect Borussia Dortmund. Oh yeah, by the way, that, you're 120 grand a week now, we'll put it up to 500,000 like you're requesting. If every other club in Europe is umming and ahhing over it or saying no, that can change someone's mindset. When a real offer is in front of you, it changes things. It really does. Legitimately, it does. So it's going to be an interesting next few weeks to see how the Haaland deal plays out. It isn't a deal, Chelsea fans, I would expect you to complete anytime soon. Anytime soon. Because Chelsea are notoriously late bidders. They tend to leave bids as late as possible to try and work out the best deal they can. So let's see what happens in relation to that. Going to give you an Hakimi update. There's also a Jadon Sancho update as well. We're going to go into in a bit more detail. I want to go through some of your comments here right now. What is a very strange morning. Very few of our members in the chat, which is very, very strange for a stream from Ups. Just looking to don't get my hopes up. Listen, listen, on a real level, I know you're a long-term viewer, so you know I'm speaking with respect when I say that's on you. Agreeing personal terms, submitting bids, wanting a player, even a player wanting to join you, it never guarantees that a deal goes through. That they never are. I think what's important to realize is Haaland is willing to join Chelsea. Chelsea want to sign him. There's an appetite there to get it done. A lot of this now comes down to two parties, really. Roman Abramovich being willing to sign off the biggest transfer in Premier League history by a country mile. And secondly, a Dortmund strong enough to turn it down. A Dortmund strong enough to turn down an additional 70 to 80 million pounds for a player who will be sold next summer for around 70 million pounds. That also works in reverse for Roman. Maybe Roman and Chelsea will sit there and say, do you know what? I'm so confident we can land Haaland next year. Let's save that 80 million pounds, because even at Chelsea, there isn't a bottomless supply of money. And let's pump that cash into 2 or 3 other positions. Because in other Chelsea news today, still large links with the centre-back. Raphael Varane is still a mooted one for many clubs. People keep saying Paris Saint-Germain. I still think there could be a sting in the tail. Saul Niguez is another player who's continuously linked to a move to Chelsea. On top of that, Declan Rice. Declan Rice is available this summer. Chelsea do want him, but he's very, very expensive. No Premier League club, Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, have all made inquiries about Declan Rice. I believe Man City may have done as well. He's willing to leave London if Chelsea don't come in for him. But the biggest stumbling block isn't that. It's how much money West Ham want for him. And even Chelsea, even City have budgets for players in particular positions. However, if Chelsea decide in the end to not part with 150 million pounds for Haaland, and maybe they go for a little bit of a makeshift, a little bit of a filler for the next 12 months. Who knows? Maybe they sign Cristiano Ronaldo for a year. Probably won't go there because he said he won't play for another Premier League club. But I'm just throwing that in as an example. Maybe Chelsea sign their Cavani for a year or so and go for Haaland big next year. Maybe they then pump that money into Declan Rice. Maybe they pump it into Jules Koundé, who are going to be very expensive deals respectively for their positions. But Chelsea have a plan. What I think I'd be confident about as a Chelsea supporter, if indeed I was a Chelsea supporter, is the fact that your club continuously does great business. It very rarely has, you very rarely have your pants pulled down. You very rarely get dragged over the mud, dragged over the coals, or put in the mud. And if you don't get your main targets, you tend to end up with somebody else that improves your team anyway. There's a comment here that says personal terms haven't been agreed yet. Oh, the interesting thing about these reports, it's all about your interpretation. So the report was, and let's read the report out loud that was put out. I know there was another one put out last night by the ex-West Ham employee. I can't actually find that this morning. I saw a man like Monstar share it, and I'm not too sure where it's gone this morning in relation to that. But yesterday afternoon, Ian McGarry put out personal terms between Haaland and Chelsea are signed off. Agreeing the fee with Dortmund is next. It becomes about semantics with a lot of these deals. So don't get too carried away like the deal's 100% going to happen. But equally, don't let people play you down by saying, well, officially, they're not agreed. Of course they're not. Personal terms are never official until a bid is accepted by a club. But if Haaland says, I want A, B, and C to sign for Chelsea, and Chelsea say, we sign that off, we will do it, that is personal terms agreed. It's done. Haaland knows you're willing to give him what he wants. It's basics. It's absolute basics. Some journalists will report that as personal terms won't be a problem. Some will report it as they've been as they've been agreed. Some will say personal terms will be no problem. But in the cold, hard light of day, it all means exactly the same thing. Identical things. No difference in these things. They are what they are. We're going to go into the Hakimi update. I want to do an Hakimi update as well this morning. So as you will know, if you watched the Football Terrace Done Deal show yesterday, you should be watching that every Tuesday and Thursday when it comes out. 9 a.m. tomorrow, it's back again. Chelsea and PSG are the only two clubs really chasing Hakimi. What was interesting about Dean Jones's update yesterday is Hakimi wants the Premier League. And if the bids are both accepted by PSG, and Chelsea, of course, make a good offer to him personally. If Chelsea offer him 80 grand a week and PSG offer him £250,000 a week, he's likely to go to PSG. But if the offers are the same or very, very close to one another, Chelsea will be picked by Hakimi over PSG. And it's the Premier League pool. Chelsea a massive pool in that, but it's the Premier League pool. Hakimi knows applying your trade in the Premier League right now, it's the best for your business. It's the best for your personal brand. It's the best way to be recognized. Chelsea are European champions, amazingly run club, but it's that competitive league. He knows, and I mean this with respect, no one that plays in Ligue 1 will ever win a Ballon d'Or. No one that plays in Ligue 1, in my opinion, will ever be truly considered the best football player in the world or the best in their position in the world until they're testing it in one of the top 4 leagues, in my view. And right now, the Premier League is the very tip top of the pile. The competitiveness, the quality of managers, the money is also a big draw in that as well. Branding wise, it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, it's all the major companies, by the way, that are available in every single one of these countries. The Amazons, the Disneys, the YouTubes that are vying to like take the rights away to pump billions of pounds more into our game to broadcast our football. They're not doing it with the other nations. And it tells you something. It tells you it's the biggest, it tells you it's the best, and it tells you it's the most potent. So Chelsea are obviously using that to their advantage, along with many other Premier League teams as well. Hakimi to Chelsea legitimately could happen, and that is a deal that could actually be agreed a lot sooner than people think. Because Chelsea have already got again, personal terms are no problem. They will not be an issue. Chelsea will put a good offer in. It's about coming to an agreement with Inter Milan. A number of offers have been unofficially made at this time. A bid was made last week, which was rejected, which is everyone kind of knew it would be. The first bid's always a lowballing bid, generally speaking. It's the next bid that Chelsea are working on. At the moment, it looks like a cash plus player, but it's about Emerson wanting to join. But watch this space on the Hakimi news. Personal terms are no problem. He wants to come to Chelsea over anybody else that's interested in him right now. So it looks very, very positive indeed for Chelsea Football Club. Do me a big favor this morning, please, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hit that like button, please? Can you hit the retweet button if you're watching on Twitter? Can you subscribe if you're watching over on YouTube and turn on those bell notifications? We're also going to be, hopefully, I'm actually going to check my Instagram right now because I might have had an update from my guy. Let me just see if it's in now. I'm not too sure if it is. Not quite yet. Christophe Terra will be back on the Football Terrace, hopefully at some point this week, to give us some updates. Also worked out a little bit of an agreement with Tancredi Palmari that's going to start coming onto the Football Terrace at the beginning of next season. He's just too busy at the moment with other arrangements. We've got episode 3 of the Done Deal show tomorrow morning live at 9 a.m. With an amazing journalist. He's got a huge Arsenal update for us tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Peter O'Rourke is going to be here with us. So very, very excited about that as well. And I will be announcing later on today when the first member-only stream will be taking place. We will advertise that on the community page for members only. If you want to become a member, go and hit that join button right now on the screen, or go to this link that I'm about to post in the comment section now. Sign up from as little as 99p per month to become an official member of the Football Terrace. It's very much about supporting us, but there's major benefits now going ahead. Sorry, should be getting all the perks out there. The WhatsApp group was created this week. I know that a lot of people, it's quite nice actually chatting to everyone in that WhatsApp group. Man like Josh here says, you know, it's peak when rivals want to sign Sancho to stop the hourly news updates. I hear you on that. I do get where you're coming from in relation to that. On Jadon Sancho, interesting update today from Christian Falk. And when I say update, it is what it is. He just said to everyone there's no movement. And he's absolutely right. There has been no official movement between Manchester United, Dortmund over the Sancho deal in the last couple of days. There is still this issue of add-ons. Christian Falk's given slightly different news to what we've had from Fjortov and Romano. He's talking about 90 million plus add-ons, where they've spoke about 95 million which are inclusive of the add-ons, and that's my belief to what is true. As we spoke about with Dean Jones yesterday, it's going to be a formality that this deal goes through pretty much. That's my interpretation. What Dean Jones said after he spoke to somebody yesterday at close to Dortmund is the next conversation in sort of the Man United journalistic world in relation to this deal is Jadon's. His response was into how close is it? He said the next storyline to come out is will Sancho get the number 7 shirt? It is all but done. It is all almost over that line. I actually had a communication yesterday. I'm not going to say from who because he was told to keep this quiet as of now. But he said here that I've been told by my contact at so-and-so and gave me his name. He says all is left is one performance clause and then the signature. So there's one performance clause that needs to be ironed out. Again, these things, it depends on how you want to read it. Some people, a bit like the Chelsea situation with personal terms. Is it being negotiated directly between the two clubs or is it being negotiated through an intermediary? If it's being done through an intermediary, then Fork is right. There has been no movement. However, if it's been done through an intermediary, then there is movement, but it just isn't official yet. And that's more than likely to be the case. I want to start going to some of your comments here. Members, get your comments in, get your super chats in as well. Any questions you have for me this morning. But we are going to run a poll as well. If you're watching over on our brand new Twitch account, make sure you hit that follow button. If you are watching on YouTube and you fancy following our Twitch account, the link is in our description below. Let's go to some of you. I want to get some of your questions this morning in relation to this. Red Devils Down Under says United sell out Old Trafford when we make the Europa League. City hand out tickets to the homeless and you guys are Premier League winners. That is a random comment today. Maybe you guys are fighting in the comments section and I haven't seen this. Oh, you are. I can see Empty Head coming up and there's proper arguments going on here. Official East Basuma says Sancho ain't joining United. I can assure you that he is. I can assure you that he is. Scott here says, Terry, if Chelsea gets Haaland, City gets Kane, and even Mbappe to Liverpool, then City get Kane and even Mbappe to Liverpool becomes possible. Scott, you pull on a really interesting, I think, fan theory that holds some water. I need to tip my tea. Got a very dry mouth. I think you pulled on a thread that could legitimately be real. It's about the response. Now, Manchester City are working on a number of deals. Manchester City will bid, in my opinion, for Harry Kane. Why would they not? Look at what Daniel Levy has said. He hasn't claimed at any singular point that Harry Kane categorically will not be sold. He simply stated that they will do the best thing for the club. Now, when Antonio Conte was linked with coming in, that gave everybody, including Daniel Levy, hope that Kane would stay. World-class manager, serial winner. Why would he not join? Why would he not? It would make perfect sense for him to join. But now it's Fonseca. And again, it's weird that deal's now again been delayed by a few more days. It's probably going to be Fonseca. I still think Spurs they're holding out for something to change with a different manager. That's my personal thought. And we'll see, because it was nearly a week ago that it was all agreed. However, Man City, we'll go back to the deal. Man City will put a bid in, and why would they not? Again, you can deny that someone's for sale. You can say that you won't sell to a rival. You can say you want over 150 million pounds. Dean Jones's contact at Spurs says Levy has stated that it's more than 150 million he wants. But they will put a bid in of around about 100 to 110 million pounds to test the water, dipping your toe in. What's the response like? Is it categorically rejected and laughed at, or is there a moment to think? Maybe it changes the way Levy acts. And what Dean Jones said yesterday should resonate and be huge with Tottenham fans, huge with City fans in relation to this deal. Daniel Levy has been second-guessing himself ever since he sacked Jose Mourinho. Got rid of him just before a cup final and replaced him with a child in footballing terms. Every manager he's gone for has pulled away. He even went back to Maurizio Pochettino and tried to convince him to come. Levy never goes back on his decision-making. Goes for Conte, pulls away from Conte, has gone back to Conte again to see if he can reignite things. He's toyed with the ideas of Gareth Southgate's and Roberto Martinez's, the original list of managers that he was part of drawing up to replace Jose Mourinho purposefully didn't include Fonseca. No, not the kind of manager, not the kind of profile we want. He denied Jose Mourinho a director of football, sacked Jose Mourinho, and signs a director of football, who then puts on top of his priority list a manager that the Spurs ball said no isn't good enough the first time round. I'm not saying all of these second-guessing decisions will be wrong, but Daniel Levy's a bit all over the place at the moment. Submit your bid. Get your bid in now or at some point soon to test the water. And I think if Chelsea pull off the Haaland deal, you will see City react. You will see Man City react. There's no doubt about it. You really, really will. Let's do some more of your comments coming through. Paul Scholl says, players like Mbappe and Neymar Messi won't come to the Premier League. Listen, maybe they won't. Maybe they won't. And maybe they have no desire to do that. But it legitimately could happen. It really, really could. It really, really could. It's all kicking off again yesterday, and do you know what's interesting as well? I saw a tweet actually about I read that Cristiano Ronaldo yesterday cost £4 billion to the valuation of Coca-Cola by removing their bottles, and people, and you know, I said before about like the influence of major football players and why they're worth so much money. Cristiano Ronaldo stating "Don't drink Coca-Cola, drink water," cost Coca-Cola £4 billion. So when these superstar football players support a business, retweet a business, advertise for a business, can you understand how much it's worth? That's why when you sign a superstar, you always pay more for them and pay them more in terms of salary than someone with equal ability that's less popular. I hope that's a lesson, and nobody ever questions the salary that a Paul Pogba earns compared to a Marco Verratti ever again, or the valuation of a transfer fee. It made me die seeing that yesterday. It was brilliant. Let's do some more of these comments here. Get your super chats in this morning, ladies and gentlemen. But we're going to put the poll out now. Let's put the poll out. Let's put the poll in now. Fabrizio Romano said no chance between us and PSG. But you need to be specific. You need to be specific. I don't. You're talking about the Mbappe deal? I don't think Mbappe will go to Liverpool. But I don't think it will stop Liverpool from trying to sign somebody big. It's a reaction thing. That's the one that's the outsider. Kane to City, I was referring more to. 110% you could see that go forward. Paul Scholes back again here says, which also makes Ronaldo the best player in the world because he has done it everywhere. Messi only done it at one club. And that's a debate to be had. That is a debate to be had. There's no doubt about it. David Gardner here says, morning, Terry. I hope you're a good man. With Sancho, Varane in the United's team, will they challenge? Listen, if you had those three players plus a little bit of Kieran Trippier, that's also a deal that could go through for Manchester United. Legitimately, United could challenge. At the very least, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has zero excuses with a squad like, as long as we're not losing too much. Remember as well, Anthony Martial is very likely to leave. As we brought to you yesterday on the Football Terrace, United are actively pursuing options to remove Anthony Martial from this team and from this squad. Right, let's get the poll up. I want to get the poll up this morning. Actually, look at those likes, man. Come on, 270. Get that up to 500 likes while we're live, please. Hit that like button, smash it to pieces. Make sure you're retweeting if you're watching over on Twitter right now as well. That's important to the Terrace that you get that done. Legitimately is. Hit the like button over there as well. Twitch followers, you know what you've got to do. Please. But let's get the poll out now. And the poll I'm going to put out is, what am I going to put out? I'll make it a positive poll. Who will be Chelsea's first summer signing? I think that's a good one. I think that's a good one for us to do, right? So we're going to put the poll in here. Who will be Chelsea's first summer signing? We're going to put in Emi, Haaland. I'll throw Rice into that mix because I know you're looking at him. And another big one that's going to rear its head much more in the next few days, Koundé. We're going to throw all those players in. That's the poll that's out now, right now, in the live comment section. So make sure you're getting that done. Good morning to you as well, Neil. Twisted Bubba here says, Terry, do Dortmund devalue the game due to not having footballing ambition? They don't devalue the game. It's about business models. Not every single club can have the same size of ambition. Not every single club can operate in the same way. Not every single club can essentially. Not every club can behave in the same way. It's impossible. Otherwise, I think you need that hierarchy, the bigger clubs right down to the smaller clubs to make the footballing world work. Would it be more fun if at any point, I think if you actually spread all the talent across 30, 40 teams, I think football would be less, I think it might be a little bit more competitive in terms of who wins the league, but I think visually it wouldn't be as entertaining. You almost need some of like sometimes an accumulation of quality players at 4 or 5 clubs to make the football at those clubs that little bit better. Otherwise, you'd end up a little bit like all teams would be like Wales at their peak 5 years ago, where you had like a Ramsey and you had a Bale as an example. I swear they had another top player in the team as well then, where you have 2 or 3 top players and then you have like a lot of average players around it. That would be like club football. Imagine if every team had like one world-class player, a couple of very good players, and then everybody else was average because all the top-class players, which are finite when you actually compare that across all footballers across football, are spread across. So, no, they're not devaluing football at all. There are horses for courses and different models in the game. Let's do some more of these comments here. Liverpool or Arsenal to win the league? Save this chat. That is an interesting one. Remember, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. I'm not going to reveal it today. I'm going to save it for tomorrow. Massive Arsenal update coming 9 a.m. tomorrow morning on the Football Terrace. Make sure you are here. Make sure you're here for it on the Football Terrace. Okay. Now, let's take a look at some other transfer news that's circulating this morning as well, please. Or what I'll also do, send in your member chats or your super chats around any particular stories that you want to go through this morning and speak about. It might be something you go, Terry, have you heard this? Have you read that? And we can go through it. I'm willing to take any questions as ever on these things. I'm also going to post a link in the Discord server on the general chat page for you to phone in and for you to have your say. If you want to come and have a chat with us this morning, that has been posted right now. So go and get that done. Go and get that looked at, ladies and gentlemen. If you are just tuning in, the big headlines this morning is reports that Haaland and Chelsea have signed off on and agreed personal terms to make a gargantuan summer transfer move from Dortmund to Chelsea. Secondly, Hakimi wants Chelsea over Paris Saint-Germain. It's about getting the deal agreed now between Inter Milan and Chelsea. And finally, there's no major movement in the Manchester United for Jadon Sancho deal, but the big news is this. Most people in Dortmund think it's going to be done very soon. Most people in Manchester think it's going to be done very soon. The next big debate is, will he get the number 7 shirt? And that is positive news if you're a Manchester United fan this morning. Grealish to Chelsea. Grealish to Chelsea is something they've inquired about. I don't think it's going to happen, if I'm being honest. However, could it happen if one of the number 9s doesn't come in? Could Chelsea look at it and say, well, maybe we could do X, Y, or Z? I think you've got to lose a player or two though, because Mason Mount and Kai Havertz are going nowhere. Grealish over Pulisic, Grealish is over Ziyech. That's a possibility. Depends on the formation, of course, that Chelsea are going to play with next year. But if Thomas Tuchel plays the same way, I don't see how he fits into your squad without the sale of a player or two. City want Jack Grealish. They want Jack Grealish massively. So I think that's more than likely to be the case. John Green here says Chelsea are not getting Haaland before City, is what John Green believes. Top Dog says, I like Grealish a lot, but he's not needed in my opinion. I kind of hear you. I would say that about Jack Grealish. As great as he is, it's the one position that Chelsea just have zero need for right now. You're absolutely right when you say that, Top Dog. You truly, truly are. Man like Eamon here says, if Liverpool don't win the league, I will give the channel 2 £400 super chats. If they do, Terry has to wear a Liverpool shirt for a week on the stream. Well, okay. Listen, I'll take that bet. I'll take that bet on. That's £800 versus wearing a Liverpool shirt. I'm going to take that bet, right? Eamon is the name. Eamon Farrell is that name there. The bet I'm gonna write down the name of the bet because we're gonna save this. Because by the way, Elite Opinions and eye test still owe charities their bets. They haven't paid up yet, but I'll take that bet on. I will take that bet on right now. And what I'll do, if it comes in as well, Eamon, what we will do is we'll take half the super chat and we'll donate it to a charity of your choice as well. That's what we'll do. So we'll get that done. Man's gonna do a runner. Maybe not, Pab. Maybe not. Keep getting your super chat questions in this morning to us, please. I want to know what you're thinking, feeling, saying in relation to these transfers. In other news this morning, what else is circulating in the world of football today? I see everywhere they're talking about the Rudiger bite is everywhere. Paul Pogba's pass trending everywhere, which is absolutely amazing to see as well. It absolutely is. Love seeing a bit of that. Love seeing a little bit of that, which is great. That Paul Pogba pass looking amazing. Actually, I watched it a few times last night. So impressive. So impressive. It really is. In terms of transfer news, though, what else is going on? What else is going on in this way? I did hear a rumor this morning that Manchester United may look at Navas from PSG, of course, with Donnarumma going there from Milan. Maybe there's an opportunity for Man United. He's a very good goalkeeper. And it's a case of if David De Gea wants to leave and United don't think Dean Henderson is ready, could Navas find himself at Manchester United? Potentially. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it could. It could. So let's see in relation to that one there. Of course, Chelsea agree in personal terms with Haaland is everywhere as firm as you can see. Not much. You know, it's interesting as well. Yesterday we did the update we did that update yesterday on the what was I even talking about? My mind's gone blank. Why has my mind gone blank? My head's gone. I don't know what I was saying. I literally can't remember what I was talking about because I read something that just got emailed to me at the same time. I'm very sorry. My mind's gone blank. Someone in the comments remind me what I was talking about. The Premier League fixtures are out. Match day 3 looks saucy. Yeah, I've the only thing I've seen so far in terms of the fixtures is I've seen Newcastle's Christmas period, which looks disgusting. From their point of view, it looks awful. It looks really awful. It does. What was I saying? Haaland personal terms. Yes, Haaland personal terms have been done and agreed according to reports today. Multiple sources are talking about that as well. But I was going to say something else, and I can't remember what it was now. Was it in front of me? That was it. Liverpool. You know, I think Liverpool transfer rumors are quite quiet. And as Dean Jones said yesterday, it's because no one leaks it out of Liverpool. There's nothing coming from anywhere. Look, Liverpool, though, the one thing I do know about Liverpool this summer is they want Daka. They are legitimately looking at Patson Daka. It's a player that they've done a lot of work around, and he definitely could sign. Daka could definitely sign this summer for Liverpool Football Club. There's no doubt about that. Thank you, by the way, to Edward Hogan for becoming an official member this morning of the Football Terrace. That means a great deal to us that you've gone and got that done. I'm not too sure what membership level you joined with because I can't see it on my screen. It hasn't come up yet. But thank you very much for joining. That honestly means so much to us here. So humbling that you've gone and done that. Keep these comments coming in. Transfer rumors about Manchester United. Become a legend and super fan. My guy, if you're a legend and super fan, if you go to the community page on YouTube, you will see the link to join our exclusive private WhatsApp group. Get yourself in there now, my friend. Go and get that done. In terms of Man United transfer rumors, as I say, we've gone through a few of them this morning with you, but there's a number that are circulating. There is a number that are circulating right now. We know the Sancho one is what it is. There's not a lot else right now with Man United. Kieran Trippier, we gave you an update on it yesterday. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants him. Manchester United want him. Atletico Madrid have tried to put up this £30 million barrier as a way of almost scaring Manchester United away from this deal. And United's response has pretty much been, but we still want him. That's not scary to us. So Kieran Trippier to Manchester United is legitimate. Kieran Trippier to Manchester United could happen. In terms of midfield, what's very interesting from a Manchester United point of view is major inquiries into Declan Rice have happened. Manchester United, before pursuing any deal, needed to ascertain and needed to learn and needed to understand as to whether or not he would be willing to join. That's the big point here. Would Rice be willing to join a team outside of London? Because a lot of the conversation is already, a lot of the conversation is already he only wants to join Chelsea. This isn't true. Declan Rice is willing to join Man United, Liverpool, or City if the offer is right. Now, if Chelsea come in for him at the same time, most believe he'll pick Chelsea. But there's no guarantee that Chelsea are going to try and sign him. So it's going to be an interesting one. That's all that's really going on in Man United space at the minute. Varane is a player they're interested in. They've offered personal terms to him. They're still waiting to hear back as to whether or not he would like to join them over Paris Saint-Germain. The reports keep flipping. Koundé is an outside chance, but the others, Trippier, big interest in him. Big interest in Jadon Sancho, of course. And you've got the Declan Rice situation as well. They are the main deals that are circulating as it stands right now. Chelsea's first 6 games, my mind is blown. I'm going to have to take a look at this now because I haven't seen any of this yet. I haven't seen any of these fixtures that have come out. So let me go and take a little butcher's. Is it bad? Is it peak? So here, Chelsea handed Nightmare Day versus the big... Wow, okay. So Chelsea have been handed... Announced... These are fixtures. Okay, so Chelsea have to play Palace, Arsenal, Liverpool, Everton, Chelsea, Man City in their opening 6 games. That's amazing, right? But let's just put this out into perspective, though. It's tough games, but you win those games, and then look at the run you're going to have after that. I haven't seen it, but I'm sure that if you have really hard 6 games, the next 6 or 7 become easier, right? Because you've already played. There's only so many teams of that level that you can play. So win those games, and it's huge advantage in the title race for Chelsea. So I think you can look at it 2 ways, if I'm being honest. I think you can look at it 2 ways, if we're being fair. Comment here from over on Twitch says, Arsenal turn into prime Barca against Chelsea, and we become Arsenal against Southampton and Villa always. Let's see what happens this year, though. It's different this year. New manager, pre-season under your belts, maybe Haaland in tow, Hakimi in the squad. Could be epic for you. Thank you very much to Felix for becoming another official member of the Football Terrace. It means a great deal for us. How are we getting on here with the likes this morning? 412. 412. Come on, we can get that well over 500. And just to let you know, on Friday on the Football Terrace, we're joined by someone I'm quite excited to speak to on Friday. We're going to be joined on the show by Mr. George Lineker, which is going to be quite fun on Friday after. I've got to reach out to him today to make sure he's got everything he needs. But Mr. Lineker will be joining us on the show on Friday, which will be a good bit of fun for the terrace as well. Let's take a look here on the poll. Plus, we've got some... I need Martin. If you're watching, Martin, my guy from Snack, let's get these deals. For there's certain people we might be getting secured for interviews on the Football Terrace very, very soon. And trust me, it's a bigger done deal than Haaland to Chelsea. It's a bigger done deal than Chelsea getting Haaland. Thank you very much, Felix, as I say, for becoming an official member who has signed up to become a first-team member of the Football Terrace. Top man. Thank you very, very much indeed. Right. The first deal that the poll right now, who will Chelsea's first summer signing be? Hakimi leading the way with 59%. Haaland next on 34%. Rice on 5%. Koundé on 3%. Chelsea fans have made themselves be heard right about there. From Snap. Did I say Snap? I meant Snack. But there we go. What are we looking at here? Robin Van Persie. Let's have a look at a few things here. What are you guys saying? Sometimes I just love reading these comments. Actually, we're going to go to some calls. Callers have been waiting a while now to come on and have their say. We're going to go to some calls. We've shared the link on the Discord server if you want to phone in. I'll also ping it into the live chat functionality as well now if you don't have that. If you're watching over on Twitter as well, if you're still watching on Twitter, and there's a few of you watching over there right now, I'm going to post it in the comments. I'm going to post it as a comment, like a reply underneath. Phone in and have your say this morning as well. Let's take a little looky here. Who am I going to go to first? If Chelsea get Haaland, I'll donate $100. Timothy, I'm going to hold you to that, my friend. Terry, could you speak a bit more on Chelsea Koundé interest? Do you know what? Before I go to the callers, I'll do that for you, brand new member of the Football Terrace. I'll get that done for you right now. So, in terms of the interest, he was one of the first centre backs that Chelsea started to look at under Thomas Tuchel. And I remember when I posted about this maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I had a number of Chelsea fans who I've now made quite good with, or I'm on very good terms with actually, and working on a few bits and pieces. They've really scoffed at me publicly on Twitter and places saying I'm making it up, which I thought was very interesting. It's now very much mainstream news. He was Chelsea's main target. Jimenez was a player that Chelsea were looking at for a number of time. Tuchel's come in and basically said, yeah, I'm not 100% sold. So they started looking at Jules Koundé. But then the Raphael Varane situation reared its head. And of course, Raphael Varane is the real deal. 28 years old, World Cup winner, 4 times Champions League winner. Chelsea went not all in for him, but they put their attention there for a moment. They've gone back to focusing on Koundé because it's likely that Varane wants to play back in Paris or wants to play back in France, live in Paris. And Chelsea has struggled to sign him. So they are now looking back at working on a deal for Jules Koundé. However, Real Madrid are also looking at him. And there is a thought that maybe Koundé wants to stay in Spain. He's very happy, very settled there, doesn't want to leave the country just yet. So Chelsea are working hard on new centre-backs, but it isn't Chelsea's priority. Hakimi is a bigger priority. Haaland or a striker is a bigger priority. Maybe even central midfield will come before signing a centre-back going into next season. So it is a legitimate interest from Chelsea, but is it in their top 3 or 4 priority signings? I would say at this moment in time, it isn't. But the world can change overnight. We know how quickly it can change. Hakimi wasn't a deal that anybody thought would be pursued by Chelsea. And then bang, there you have it. There it is doing its thing. Not a problem, Felix. We try our best. We get all super chats responded to. We go to as many member chats as we can as well. We always pay homage to people that are doing that. Thank you, by the way, here to Alison for becoming an official Academy member of the Football Terrace. So first caller of the day, I'm going to go to Josh. Josh Down Under is here with us. What are you saying, buddy?
Hey, how you going today?
I'm very, very well. What are you here to say, mate?
I've just got a little bit of news myself that I'm sure some Liverpool fans wouldn't mind hearing. Harry Kewell, the ex-player for Liverpool, he's actually taken up a management role at Barnet FC, and I think they're non-league at the moment. So that's pretty exciting to see one of the ex-players starting to come back and work their way up through the coaching ranks.
One of the Aussie boys as well. One of the Aussie, he was a good player actually. Probably one of the best outfield. Him and Tim Cahill. I actually think he was better than Cahill, really. But but he just had a lot of injuries. He's decent there. In terms of the other updates that have come out this morning, which one are you phoned up to speak about?
Really, I touched on all of them. Really, I mean, like it just feels like again it's recycled stuff that's coming out. I mean, everything's become quite still, obviously, because of the Euros. So you're only going to be getting sort of, I guess, drip-fed updates. I mean, I'm not expecting any major news on Sancho or any other players to United. The Haaland to Chelsea one took me by surprise. I haven't been on Twitter to see any of that sort of stuff come up, but yeah, that's I can see that happening. Probably, it wouldn't surprise me if most of it had been done. Most of the background work's been done before the Euros are done. And I mean, Roman, when he wants a player, he'll throw the kitchen sink at it to get them. So he's a big admirer of Haaland. And if he's in the Premier League, then I think this just adds another notch to the belt on the Premier League being the elite of the elite leagues.
No, listen, Josh, I totally agree, and I think it's a big deal for everybody involved. Listen, buddy, thank you for calling in, mate, and all your support you give the Terrace, mate. It means a great deal to me. Top man, Josh. Thank you very much indeed. It's absolutely right what it will do to the league. We go through some more calls. We're going to do these as not quick fire, but we're going to go through these calls that everyone come on up there. Say, have your topic ready to go. We're going to go to CFC chats on the show next. Welcome to the Terrace. What do you want to say, buddy?
Oh, sorry there. Yeah, g'day guys. Honestly, Haaland, man, I'm buzzing. But Terry, I got a question. How much is the fee? Is there a verbal discretion about a fee?
No one quite knows, but it's understood that Dortmund are asking for over 150 million pounds. But then you listen to reports that what Chelsea will do is they will bid maybe 30, 40 million below that to see what the response is like. to seek, because there's very rarely will a team go in with the asking price straight away. Why would you? No one does that. I went to buy a new car recently. They had it on the forecourt for X. So I said, well, I want it for Y. And we ended up agreeing somewhere in the middle of what I wanted and what it was on the sale price for. That's just how negotiations are done. So I actually think if you put a deal out there and say there's 120, 130 cash, we'll pay it to you in a lump sum, I think Dortmund will bite your hand off.
I think, honestly, 130 will be perfect, but I'm hearing rumors 185, 170, and I'm saying no to that. Honestly, for Haaland, 170, I know it's a fantastic investment, but really, 170 million, that's the English world record for a transfer, and for a 2-year-old, he has potential, but is he worth that much? And that's the question, Chelsea fans got to consider. But I think 110, 120, I think, honestly, a perfect price for a potential like Haaland, with them, probably striker with him, but I don't think Chelsea would do that.
What I think with the situation with Haaland, which is really important to focus on, is I think one of the biggest areas for Chelsea to think about in this deal is the ramifications of doing it. So it isn't the money per se, because you can afford it.
Oh yeah,
It's the, if you spend 150 million pound, what does that do for the value of every other player in world football? In my opinion, it makes it increase. If he comes in on 500,000 pound a week, again, whenever you're signing players again in the future, or you're renewing contracts for important players at the club, they are going to then see huge, hefty wage increases on top, because there's a new precedent, there's a new bar that's been set, and everybody's going to aim towards it. That's what Chelsea have to look at. However, that's the direction that football is going to continue to move into. And at some point, a club is going to pay that amount of money for someone, and in the Premier League. And at some point, someone's going to be paid that amount of money in the Premier League. It's already kind of happening with Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo in terms of what they earn. But again, we always look at them as ring fenced, as aliens, because of how good they are. It's going to become more mainstream because everybody's wages go up. And if you go back through the history of transfers and you look at the first £1 million player, who I believe was Trevor Francis, that was looked at as scandalous and breaking the game, and the game would never recover. 30 plus years later, here we are looking at 150 million pounds. In fact, the Haaland deal as a package is muted at being a £500 million investment into a player. So I just think Chelsea have to weigh up whether they want to be the team to make that giant stride forward. But at some point, somebody's going to do it. And even more money is on its way into the game of football. Even more money is going to come into the game. We saw yesterday, the removal of a bottle of Coca-Cola was worth 4 billion quid. That's how much influence these mega star football players have over the game. And do you know the advantage that the Haalands and the Mbappes will have in their careers over the likes of Ronaldo and Messi? Is that social media has been there from day dot. The Ronaldos and the Messis, social media came in like halfway through their careers, and they've still built up these huge audience and followings. If you're born into the game when it exists, by the time these guys reach their late 20s and they're in their peaks, the social media world is going to be astronomical. So I think as much as it's a lot of money, the money in the game is going to slowly start to increase again in the next few years. The only reason the increase of money is slowed down is because of the COVID settings. As soon as it changes, the money is going to come back in its droves. And I think it's going to sound like a warped to say right now, but in 5 years, in 10 years time, this Haaland deal for a player that's looked at that level is not going to be considered like, oh my God, it's huge. It'll be looked at as big, but other players, when Harry Kane goes for that amount, when Mbappe goes for that amount, when, João Felix goes for a similar amount, when all those top level players start earning 400, 500, 600 grand a week, it will just level out, and you'll be the first, but it'll be like, okay, there we go. I remember when Man United paid 27 million pound for Rio Ferdinand. It was like, that much for a centre back? Now look how much centre backs go for. It just grows from there. So listen, I understand your reservations, but that's just the evolution of the financial element of football, my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much for calling in, though. Great points, bro. Thank you very much indeed. Next on the show, we're going to Man United fan Mo. Good morning, Mo. What you saying, buddy?
Good morning, Terry. It's just a quick one, Terry. This Man United transfers is getting beyond a joke now. There's nothing coming through. I'm hearing about Haaland and whatnot. When is the Sancho deal going to happen? Is it going to happen? It's been not going on for a year now. And it's getting to the point where I think, to be honest, Terry, United are falling behind now. I think they're so far behind Chelsea and Liverpool and Man City now. Is there any point of trying to catch them? It's just so. This deal is being for the last 4 weeks, I've been it's close, it's close, it's close, it's close, it's close. It's not close. I don't think they're even going to get him.
Why do you think they're not going to get him, Mo?
I think it's been a year. They've been working on the deal. It's 4 weeks now. They should have announced it last week. The valuation again, they're trying to it's £10 million and this and that, and they're trying to negotiate that. I think he might just say, you know what, let me just go to somewhere else. This deal is. He must be getting frustrated as well. What's going on here? I mean, he must be thinking this deal is not done yet. Do they really want me? We should have done up.
Can I ask you a question really quickly?
Yeah.
Are you Statman Baines?
No.
You sound just like him. I'm just saying, literally, iconically, you sound just like.
I know who Statman is, and I follow him as well. He's a good guy.
Yeah, great guy. I love Statman Baines, but I can hear the voices. I swear that's him, you know.
I don't know about much about football than he does. Trust me on that. I'm a casual fan. I just want the deal done, Terry, man.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think I understand you want it done. I understand it's frustrating. I understand. I understand it's frustrating, but these things just take time, mate. And I think
we have to sort the Pogba deal as well, Terry.
Yeah, but they can work on more than one deal at once, and they will. I think I know that sometimes the way things read in newspapers is it's like, because you get this from fans, like, oh my God, you'll see us working on a signing that we don't consider priority, and we think, well, why are we not focusing on the priority? You have to deal with more than one thing at once. You know, I've worked on some really big deals in my time in work, and it's like I can't say the name of the company. They're a huge crypto exchange, and we were working on a deal to supply their debit cards to people. And it was, if we landed it, it was going to be the biggest deal in the history of the company I was working at. But it took 9 months to negotiate. Right? It did. But the point is, in that 9 months, I still focused on other smaller deals at the same time, because you can delegate, and it's important. And Man United are working on it. It's one final performance clause now that needs to be resolved. And again, Dean Jones said it yesterday perfectly. The reason that Dortmund want it to be based on income rather than Man United winning trophies is because we're better at making money than we are winning trophies. And of course, United are trying to push it more towards trophies.
Also, one other thing, Terry. Before I go, I appreciate all the work you do with the transfers. I know there's so much hard work and due diligence and all that research, and you do all the hard work for us, so we can jump on the football terrace and we can get all this news where, you know, most of the YouTube channel don't do. They do the research, but it's not with you. You know, we get all the information and it's always updated with us. No other YouTube channel does that. So thank you for that.
Mate, listen, not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. From my point of view, I 99% of what we report is purely from the news, and even with the new shows creating, when we have the likes of Christophe Terrer and of course Dean Jones on it, Peter O'Rourke's joining us this week as well. We're doing that so we can, you know, hopefully the Done Deal show will start to evolve in the coming days and weeks, so you guys will have a lot more interaction with it, so you can ask the questions that are needed as well. And I think that's what's important about these things. It's the understanding of what's going on. You know, Arsenal are a great example right now. So the reason that Arsenal are linked to so many people is legitimate. So there's a lot of reports that are flying around that are the media are kind of like dragging Arsenal through the mud. I was told yesterday that isn't true. I thought that. And then what Dean Jones said, another journalist we've got coming on tomorrow, said exactly the same thing. Arsenal are making dozens of inquiries into players, all the way from Maddison right down to Lokonga that they looked at yesterday, because Arsenal don't know who they can sign. Onana looked like a cert for them. But now other clubs are looking at him, and Arsenal become less attractive for Onana. So they're going to be linked to lots of different people. The only reason it was painful, Liverpool Football Club do it perfect because they don't allow stories to leak out. And because the stories don't leak out, there isn't the same issues that occur in relation to that. But look, it's an interesting one. I do understand the frustration that you get with it.
Frustrating, yeah.
Of course it is, 100%. I feel the same thing. My guy, listen, thank you very much for tuning in.
Thanks, Terry.
Appreciate it. Top man. Thank you. Next on the show, we're going to go to Caroline. I'm intrigued to know if this is going to be a lady. But Caroline, welcome to the show.
Hello, yes, it is. I actually wanted to ask you, as a Chelsea fan, I was reading this morning that Marina is about to finish this Tomori deal finally, so we're gonna get the boost of the 30 mil. And I was thinking about Haaland and Sancho. If Borussia is saying that they're not gonna sell one of the players this season, imagine if Marina does something crazy as she always does and gets the Haaland deal, because we need a striker, that's for sure this season. If she gets this deal with Haaland done as quickly as possible, she puts Hakimi for like the, next month maybe. Do you think it's possible that United will end up without Sancho?
Personally, I don't. I think Sancho and Dortmund have agreed that he can leave. I actually think it's more likely that Dortmund will sell both for the right amount of money. However, Manchester United being Manchester United, messing the deal up and not getting him, I can see happening because of how we've been run as a football club. But it is a fear. And that's why if I listen to the previous caller, I want Man United to just get this deal done sooner rather than later, because once we secure that deal, it's easier. It's only the Haaland deal to Chelsea. It will be a late one. Chelsea are notoriously late bidders when it comes to these deals. The only way Chelsea would ever be sped up is if another club comes in and is seriously looking to sign him. And I don't think anybody else is. I don't think anybody else is willing to part with the money, which is why I think Roman is so keen to get this deal done, because we know what Roman's like. He loves your club so much. He would rather pay 50, 60, 70 million pound more this summer for Haaland than risk him going somewhere else next summer. He prefers to secure their asset. But I think your point, it's a great question. And Man United fans, are very jaded with the way we've done deals in recent years. So that's their fear, I think. I think that's the fear of it taking so long, that something like what you suggested happens and it falls through.
Yeah, man. I just, looking at the last season and your deal with Sancho, how it was going. And again, being Chelsea fan for like 10 years now, I know how Marina is like going. So that was just a question, because I was like Mo was saying that he doesn't think Sancho is even gonna come to United this season. Yeah, so that was just a quick thought.
No, and listen, I think it's a fair question. It's from a fan point of view, I think these things can happen. My personal belief is that I think both players could be sold for the right amount of money. Dortmund always talk about how they're not a selling club, but they are a selling club in the cold hard light of day. And I think Chelsea will put a bid 110, 120, maybe 130 max first to see what Dortmund say, and based on the reaction to that, they'll either increase the bid or they'll land the player, or they may walk away. But Chelsea need to know very soon as to whether or not they can land Haaland, or whether they want to go all out for him because of the Lukaku situation, because that is still a highly plausible deal for Chelsea Football Club. Most industry experts they don't really care what Lukaku said about not wanting to leave. It's still open and on. But so, Caroline, thank you for calling. The reason I asked was that we have very few female callers phone up, and it's great that you've done it. Really, really, really good to hear your views and opinions.
Thanks so much, man. It's great to turn on your stream every day and just listen to you chat with people. So
not a problem. I appreciate you. One of you watching is very humbling, and thanks for calling onto the show. Speak to you again. Bye-bye. Thank you. More ladies. We only have about 4% view audience that are female. Literally, our analytics come in. We'd love to grow that. More ladies to phone up the show. One, because it's good to, it's not about pushing diversity ever with me. It's just, I know a lot of women watch and consume sport, but I know it's not always a safe space for women to speak without people chatting shit about them. And, the football terrace, I think we're pretty good for that. We want more of it on here. Of course, some of the ladies that we have that run our shows and come on, the likes of Anita, the likes of Kendall, sensational. Jess, sensational. So we just want more and more on. I forgot about anybody. No, I haven't. There we go. Next on the show this morning, man like Andrew, the Winter Surfer, is here. What are you saying, buddy?
Exciting news about the personal terms being agreed. I always think those are the quickest ones to be agreed. They're probably even agreed before the club. I know tapping up is not supposed to happen, but I always think those personal terms are agreed before the club even gets into it. I just wonder the personal terms, though. I wonder if it's like with Haaland, whether it's like a base salary and then it's incentive laden as well. Like goal bonuses or 50 goals in. As soon as you get to 50 goals, you get a pay boost or trophies or something like that. Because although it's like even myself would go, I don't care how much he's paid. You always have to think about squad harmony as well. And Chelsea are still a business. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
if they fire someone finds out he's getting paid 500 grand a week, the next person who pops up who's a good player in your team will go, I want parity or I want double what I'm getting.
A lot of these deals are incentive laden like that. They're based on it's sort of owed, you know, win bonuses, score bonuses, qualification for Champions League. There's a lot of it is made up of that. You know, when we see Alexis Sanchez's 500,000, 600 grand a week, that was the maximum he could earn if he was to score goals and United were to win, then it could go up to as high as that. But of course, he scored 5 goals in 18 months, so he weren't getting them bonuses. But with Haaland, it's one of those things. It's pushing it back onto the player, saying, "Look, we'll give you 250 a week base."
Yeah,
Do you know, you score. They all work in different. I've seen contracts and the way these clauses work. They can be really detailed. So it's a certain amount of goals in a month. It's types of goals as well. So it's winners. It's scoring important goals for the teams. They can be multi-layered in these clauses. So you could go to a point where if Haaland 1 week, and again, players aren't even paid weekly. They actually do these. They're done on a monthly basis because players are paid monthly like everybody else. And it might be in a month if you score X amount of goals, and in those games the team win, you'll get an extra 100 grand like per goal or whatever it is. So actually in the end, in a month, you might end up earning £1 million in a month, but it's better for the club because you were scoring goals and you were winning games. If you're scoring them and you're not winning, it might only be an extra 200 grand in the month that he gets, or whatever it may be. They often detail them. They're very detailed. They're very rarely just if you score, you get money. It's you score, but we win, and you score, but we don't win. Like we draw, you score and we lose, you get a different kind of incentive added because again, no one moans. Look how much money. Like Bruno Fernandes is on good money at Man United, and his transfer will rise up to about £67 million with all the performance clauses he's hitting. But you notice that no one talks about his transfer fee being up to £67 million. How many goals he scores, how many games he wins. You only focus on it. If Haaland gets on average £500,000 a week, and he costs 150 million, but he bangs in 50 goals a season, you're winning the league. No one in football will care about how much we're paying him. It's only if he comes in and has a Timo Werner season that it becomes a problem. And even then, if he kills it, and then, I don't know, another player knocks on the door and says, I want something similar, you could just push it back at them and say, okay, this is what Haaland has to do to get paid it. We'll give you that incentive. And if that player isn't good enough to achieve what Haaland's doing, in their own,
going to get it.
They're not going to get it anyway. So it always, you know what I mean? I could pay you. I could say, now, listen, Andrew, I'm going to pay you £1 million if in the next 6 weeks you can get me to 500,000 followers on YouTube. It's very unlikely you could get me to that amount of followers. So it becomes a bullshit incentive.
No, £1 million makes
You'll be on the phone to someone like True Geordie going, listen, please, I'll give you 250. I'll give you £500,000 if you just share in Terry's channel to get it to 500,000. You could do it, I suppose.
What's the limit on how many Google accounts you can have at the same time?
He's there for 10 days, solid for a whole month, making 470,000 and then just sits there following it. Can you imagine?
All with the same password.
Yeah, Winter Surfer 1, Winter Surfer 2, all the way up. Look, it's going to be an interesting one. What's your take on the Hakimi deal as well?
There was see, the problem is Inter Milan haven't accepted either bid, right? So Chelsea reportedly said they matched PSG's bid, but then I think at the beginning of the week there was some rumours that Serge Aurier might be going to PSG, and it's on a free transfer. But I think we're in for him. I think we're favourites because we've got players we might offer as well as part of it. But Inter situation very strange, as you know, Terry. They owe people a lot of money. They owe your mob 40 million. They owe Real Madrid money. So I think the player option is not going to happen. It's going to be straight up cash. I think 55 to 60 million euros, something like that. And I'd get him. He elevates the squad.
Swap deals are notoriously difficult, mainly from a legal standpoint. They're very hard to work into deals and contracts. And equally, it then becomes like a chain reaction of, like, say, buying a house where you're then reliant on other people. What you may find happens is they do a bit of a gentleman's agreement and say it's 45 million for Hakimi, but we'll do you a good deal on Emerson. But to happen, you need Emerson you almost need the Emerson deal to be agreed before Hakimi so that you know you can work on it. Because if Emerson at the last minute says, no, actually, I've had an offer from this German club and I prefer to go there, or I've had a massive offer to go back to I swear he's Brazilian. I believe he's Brazilian.
But he plays for Italian. He plays for Italy. So
does he? Okay, so he was back there. So maybe he gets an offer from a different Italian side, and it changes his mind. So it is a little bit of a difficult one.
But the swap deals are, but you know as well, though, it's not like the NBA, NFL where you can just send a player wherever you want. Those players have got to agree to go as well. So it's like this week when it's like, oh, we'll offer Tammy to Dortmund. Tammy's got to want to go to Dortmund. Well, there's no point offering him.
Exactly. Like a few people were saying that Emerson wants to go back to Italy. That's fair. I didn't know that element of that deal, which is fair. But it's, AC Milan might come in and say, we want you. And maybe from a child, he wanted to be an AC Milan player. Yeah. That's why swap deals are hard, because there's too many moving parts. But listen, bro, thank you very, very much for coming on and having your say. Top man. Thank you. Someone here says YouTube take 30%, I think. What are we talking about on here? You speak about super chats. Yeah, no, they take 45%. So YouTube earned that straight away. But it still supports the channel, which is great. KJ is here with us this morning. What are you saying, Cage?
Yeah, man. Danny Rose just signed for Watford. Axel Tuanzebe is going to be loaned out. Just another day in the transfer news.
Danny Rose, right? I feel so bad for him. I didn't know his agent personally, but one of my colleagues at Barclays did. And his agent worked tirelessly to have him as a client. I remember him begging and pleading for tickets for all different corporate events. We used to get a lot of tickets, a lot of events, NBA in London, big show of car events, watch events, private Rolex parties and stuff. We were giving this guy everything, and it was all to land Danny Rose because because I shouldn't laugh because it's not fun. It is funny because it's only business. He was adamant at this point, this agent. I remember I was in the group listening. I wasn't involved in the conversation. And it was basically, I need to land Danny Rose because he's either going to get there was big clubs looking at him and for good money, or Spurs are going to offer him a big new deal. And his view was, I'm going to get 15% of it, which was for him would have been a lot of money. It would have been millions of pounds in his pocket. And none of those things ever happened. And I just feel bad for him. I know. Now you've got Watford. Listen, I'd love to be good enough to play for Watford. I'm not laughing at that. But it's where that was back in 2017, 2018, and where it ended up. I feel bad for the guy. I feel legit bad for the guy, bro.
It's a bit mad. He went from one of the best left backs in the league to nothing. Legit. Just nothing. I feel for him, man. I feel for him. But he's gone back to his, I think his boyhood club. I think that's where he started. So yeah, I think he's gone back there. Let me just check that before people go be like, "Oh, KJ, you don't know nothing about football because you said Danny Rose used to play for Watford and he didn't." Let me just do a quick check. No, see, he did. He played for Watford once on loan. He has played for Watford, but he's not their starting club. So yeah, he's going back to Watford to get some game time. But yeah, anyway, what we're talking about, Haaland to Chelsea. Ooh, but you know what? Yeah, I saw a tweet from Anita, and she said this. She's like, I've seen Manchester United agree personal terms with Jadon Sancho last year, and that didn't happen. So she's not getting hopes up for this deal to go through, which I get. But at the same time, Chelsea are not Manchester United in the transfer market. So when you think about that, it's like, as a Chelsea fan, I think they're allowed to get excited, not because they believe 100% is going to happen, but they can trust and believe in their board to do something impossible. You know what I'm saying? And if it doesn't come off for them, it obviously, at least you can say, they tried their hardest to make it happen in that summer.
I think as well, and I mean, how much respect I've got for Anita. I look at this from a different angle with this deal, because a lot of the word is signed off. The Haaland deal is groundbreaking for a Premier League club in terms of how much money is needed. So Sancho's money, for me, it's already paid to people in the higher echelon of the Premier League. Between 250 and 350, it's already being done. $500,000 a week plus is groundbreaking. I think that's why that should be looked at as encouraging, because a lot of the thought was that Chelsea, so last week it's up to Roman now to make the bid. However, making the bid isn't the most expensive part of this deal is the contract. The most expensive part of this deal for Chelsea isn't buying him, it's paying him his wages over a 5-year period. That's the hardest bit for me for Chelsea to sign off on because of the knock-on effect. The Mason Mounts, the Kantes, the Havertzes, if they push on and keep improving, what are they going to ask for on the next contract renewals? You know, you could go to a point where signing Haaland means instantly you increase your wage bill by $500,000 a week. Yes, you're going to sell some people, so you might be able to offset it. But then you might get 5 other top players renew their contracts in the next 2 years. If they all then have an increase of 200 grand a week each because of this deal, suddenly you're paying an extra £1 million a week out. That's £52 million a year extra out your coffers. All of that needs to be looked at, not from a do we want to do it, but can we sustain that in terms of what we have coming in? And that's what they need to weigh up. And the fact it's been signed off and Chelsea have said, we can do it, we will do it. I agree with Anik. I wouldn't sit there and go, that's it, it's done. He is a Chelsea player. What I would say is the ball's in your court now to put that bid in, because the only thing standing in your way is getting Dortmund to agree. And I actually think throwing out that big bid, put it across the bows, see what their reaction is to see whether it can be done. I'd be very encouraged as a Chelsea fan right now. But as you say, I wouldn't go over the top. I wouldn't start getting like Haaland's face tattooed on my body with Premier League champions 2022 on it or anything like that. But I'd be very encouraged with what's been going on right now. But it is very, very hard still to get it done.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of fat trimming they need to do with their squad before some of these players come in. Or if they do come in, you've got to make sure that those players get sold. They've still got Batshuayi in the books who's going to come back. You know what I'm saying? They've still got the wing positions or the creative wide players that they've got. They've got so many, and yet they've been linked to Sancho and Grealish. How are they going to fit all of them in without like 1 or 2 of those players getting sold? And if they do get sold, what players are they going to be? Is it going to be the beloved Cho? You know what I mean? Is he going to leave? Is it going to be Ziyech, who's only been here for a year? Is it going to be Pulisic, who he loves being in the hospital more than the football pitch? Like, I feel like with Chelsea fans, I feel like I get why they're so excited with their summer and with Tuchel and their squad. They've just won the Champions League and they've got one of the best owners in the Premier League. But I also got to look at, all right, cool, how does this squad get transformed in terms of outgoings? Because it's easy to say, oh, we're going to go sell this player will be gone, and that player will be gone. But you still got Bakayoko on your books. You still got Danny Drinkwater on your books. And there's only for so long you can go with loaning them out every single season. They need to be gone full term. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see who goes out of Chelsea and permanently as well.
Yeah, and you got to remember, Chelsea don't pay gargantuan wages at the moment. So that's the point a lot of people I would make as well. So I was looking at this here. This is fairly accurate, I believe. So like Ben Chilwell was actually the highest paid player on 9.8 million a year. Like it's 190,000 a week. Werner's second, 170,000. Pulisic on 160. Kepa's on 150. Aspilicueta 145. Kante 145. Kai Havertz 140. Odoi 120. So they're not paying anybody north of 200,000 to suddenly put somebody on this 500,000 mark, even if it is incentive based. So many of those players are going to turn around and say, well, what about? I start looking at some of the players on here and I think about, do you know what's mad? Malang Sarr that's out on loan is on 120 a week, you know. But of course, some of that.
Malang Sarr is on the 120.
According to this, I mean, I'm not saying this is verified, but
yeah. I know you got him on, and they got him on a free though. So I'm guessing,
and that always means higher salaries. But if you start looking at play, I mean, it says here that Kurt Zouma is on 40 grand a week. I don't even know how true that is. I mean, like Tomori leaving, they're going to get 30 mil in for him, but he was only on like 15 grand a week as an example. It's like you've got Emerson and Zabacosta that could leave. They're on 70.
Apparently, it's not true. Apparently, Kante's on.
I'm saying on Kante's on more than that. He's on more. Yeah, maybe this hasn't been updated. This is just a random website I just clicked on. Sports Rec is what I went on here. What's this one here? This is Salary Sports. Let's see what this one says here. Yeah, that one has gone up actually. So yeah, this is slightly different, but fairly accurate compared to what I'll do. I'll put it up on the screen so people can see what I'm looking at. It's fairly close to the other one. It's fairly close to the other one that's being put out here. Like again, and these are always guesstimates. No one actually knows exactly how true these things are in terms of how close they are to being actually true. But this is what this website here is saying. Let me zoom in a bit more on this so people can see it a little bit here. But the point I'm making is, I think these will be in and around accurate. So if you look at this here, like Kante, like 290, like people said, you've got Werner 270, which is pretty high. You start going down the pecking order. You start looking at players here like Pulisic, Havertz, 150. All these guys. I mean, Danny Drinkwater on 120. That's a madness if he is. But you start looking at a lot of these players, and you think, well, it's going to take the sale of. You look at the players down the bottom here, like Mason Mount when he gets his pay rise.
They still have Baba Rahman on their books. Oh, no, this is what I mean, Terry. This is what I mean.
But so, yeah, I mean, they've got to get rid of some of these players. But even if you look at it, a lot of these players down the bottom echelon here, right? A lot of the players down the bottom they might get rid of. It's almost this case of it's going to take a lot of these players going to recoup how much Werner is going to come into the club on. And I'm not saying Chelsea won't do it, but it's this. The point I'm making is it's the considerations that have to go in here, because then you start looking at some of these players, and I straight away the ones that stand out to me. Billy Gilmore's getting a bumper pay rise when he signs a new deal, no doubt, right? I start the ones that look at it.
Have you noticed a check down there as well, Terry?
Yeah, because officially he was registered as a player, right? So I look at it this way: Reece James, Mendy, bumper pay rise. He's gonna go if he signs a new deal with what he just achieved. He's getting a lot more than that. You got Reece James that's eyeing up and looking at a new deal. Mason Mount on 76. His new deal is 300 grand plus. We know it's going to be because of who he is, right? You start going up there a little bit further, and I sort of think to myself, okay, Hudson-Odoi, maybe you're going to go. Kai Havertz, Pulisic, these guys are looking and say, well, I want more money. If you get someone who comes in then on 500 grand a week, how much are all the other new signings going to want? And how much are some of these players in the team going to want when they do their pay rises? So this is why I think it's groundbreaking that Chelsea Football Club have said we'll sign it off. It's almost we're willing to like break the transfer caps at our club that we like. They'll have an internal cap that they already set. We know it's going to mean that everybody else is going to ask for a lot more money when it comes to their renewals, but we're willing to do it. So that's why I would be very much encouraged by it. But as you say, there are a number of players they could sell there that could raise a percentage. But listen, if they sold Hudson-Odoi for one, if they get rid of Drinkwater and Hudson-Odoi, they're probably the biggest two. That's 240 grand a week. Jorginho might go. But then obviously if they get rid of Jorginho, they're looking at a midfielder like a Verratti, like a Declan Rice, who are quoted at wanting 250 to 300 grand a week themselves. So all the players Chelsea are looking at are going to ask for more money. That's why them signing off on Haaland is so important and so groundbreaking, because they're committing to really, it's not just, as I say, I actually think the salaries Chelsea are going to commit to new player contracts, and the next 2 or 3 players they sign, the contracts are going to be worth more over 5 years than the transfer fees. That's the bigger commitment, which I think needs to be focused on. Let's go to some of the comments that are coming through here. Daco says Haaland next to Chelsea. Could happen. What's the poll saying, actually? The poll right now, Hakimi still winning it with 56% of the votes this morning in relation to that. Stealing a living is what I don't know who he's talking about. He's obviously stealing about somebody. George, I love comments where people just say exactly. I never quite get it. Mount robbed. No, Mount isn't being robbed. Mount is on his like not his first pro contract, but his first team contract. The levels he's gone up in this last year mean that he can start looking at a new deal. But what you have to look at is this: his new deal will come very quickly, Mason Mount, if this level continues, because Chelsea will want to stop any other club from looking at him. How you do that is by putting him on massive salaries. It's one of the reasons why Hudson-Odoi is difficult to buy, because you're going to have to spend a lot of money to buy him out his contract, and you're going to have to pay him 120 a week plus. So if you look at him, what's his salary? 120 a week. So what's that a year? That's like £6.5 million a year. So if you buy Hudson-Odoi for like £50 million, and then say you pay him £7 million a year over a 5-year period, it's a lot of money. You know, you are looking at over 30. It's another 35 odd million. It's £35 million commitment on top of the transfer fee. It almost doubles. Plus his image rights, plus his bonuses and incentives. The running costs of having Hudson-Odoi are more expensive than buying him, with the way wages have gone in the game, and that's the big commitment for people. It's you know, it is what it is. We see it with Man United. Every time Man United sign a player, they throw the wages in as part of it. Mount signed the new deal last year, but don't be surprised if he doesn't get another new deal in the next 12 to 18 months, because he'll look if he's important for Chelsea winning a league title next season. as he was for them winning a Champions League, him and his team are going to ask for more money. That's just the way the world is. And you're going to want to give it to him because you want to keep him sweet. Spurs, actually, when they were playing well under Mauricio Pochettino, they did that brilliantly. You remember how they kept on giving those little pay rises and new deals came through really regularly, and that was to deter people from wanting to sign them. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. What's your feeling on Haaland to Chelsea? Do you think it could happen this summer?
I think it could. I don't think it will. I just feel like it'll be a bit too difficult for Chelsea to get done. But I think it's not in the realms of impossibility. Like, I'll say there's a 35 to 40% chance that they get it done. And that's decent odds considering who the player is. You know what I mean? Like, considering the position that the club are in and how they are very, very hard to deal with. That's a decent percentage, to be fair. So yeah, I feel like they can get it done. I just don't think they will get it done.
There we go. I hear you on that. Listen, everyone who's tuned in today, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. Really appreciate all the new members. 4 new members have signed up during the show today, which is out of this world. Everybody who super chatted, thank you. Of course, we're back later on. Do you know what I haven't even looked at today? I know Italy played today because I heard
it's Finland and Russia, and then it's Wales and Turkey.
There we go. Okay, so it's only 2 games today then. I know you've got Finland, Russia.
Yeah.
Turkey, Wales. Oh yeah, sorry. And then so good games today. Wales play again. So I'm actually looking forward to Turkey, Wales. I think that could be a good game.
Yeah, I need Turkey to feed the agenda.
And then on top of that, I think I'm intrigued to see Italy again because I think we'll get a bit more of an answer around, was that a one-off performance or are they as good as everybody thinks they are? I think is a real key one as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Everyone who's tuned in, a massive thank you. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you